on this tiny little planet. And we all have front row seats for the show.
Yeah, we are indeed in the front row waiting for the next act to begin. And it seems that some ET groups are very active on Earth. And Elena, you met an ET in Ireland who says that she was from Alpha Centauri and that she was working on some advanced technology in California. We assume that was Paradise, California, that was burned down, because she said the town was burnt down. So, why is it, or what do you know about the Alpha Centaurians? And I think you recently have an update on what they're doing in our solar system. So can you tell us about the Alpha Centaurians and what they're doing to help introduce some of this advanced technology to Earth?
Sure, Michael. Well, there are different cultures in the Alpha Centauri systems. There are 3 star systems in there. And mostly is the Meton and the Silosy, or Silosians. And they are involved with space programs and building new space fleets and developing new technology on Earth since the 1950s. They are very much like us. They look like us. It's mind-blowing. You can't tell it's an ET. You can't. Absolutely, you can't. And they are settled in, and they're living among us. They are settled in our societies, etc. Well, yes, this person I met was just visiting, and she took contact with me to talk about, she didn't tell much about her life, that she was coming from California and that her whole little town was burned and many of them died, and they were working on developing advanced connectivity technologies. It was about connectivity. And this person just advised me to trust Starlink systems because it was going to be the future of communications, and it would use a connectivity based on quantum technology. And it will be something new, and I need to trust that. She delivered to me this message. She mentioned that they were all working on this new advanced technology in this town that was burned. So Michael, you came with the conclusion that it had to be Paradise, and I totally agree. Recently, Thorhan was accompanying a convoy coming from the Alpha Centaurian systems, especially the planet Silo, to settle on Mars. These people from these new colons are settling on Mars with new Earth colonies, and they are going to work together, and they are going, the Earth colons are going, settlers are going to learn about new technologies from the Alpha Centaurians, about agricultures, biodomes, and they're going to work together and settle together. This was prepared a month and month before. Of course, I wasn't told because for probably safety reasons. There were a series of meetings on Silo and also on Ganymede. I saw once a month ago, there was a meeting on Ganymede in a facility of the Intergalactic Confederation between the Cedars people, the Guardians, and a delegation of Martians, but the real Martians, the reptilians. There wasn't any insectoid there. The reptilians are just leading, and the Martian society now, they are free. They used to be called the Martian Resistance, but now they are really empowered and they've won their planet. So they were discussing on Ganymede about the future of Mars. I didn't know much at that time, and now I know that it was just last week as we speak. It was to prepare this new redistribution of Mars, where the locals, the reptilians and the insectoids anyway, would have the primer of everything. It's their planet, and the others are just invited to settle there. That's what I know about the input of the Alpha Centaurians recently.
How about you, Alex? Do you know anything about different ET groups living amongst humanity and seeding technologies?
I've met some. I have met some.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that, or is that...
Some work in government. Some work for aerospace contractors. And Elena is absolutely right. You would never know unless they showed you. And I knew a woman that I became very, very close with who worked for the Franchise Tax Board in the state of California. And we're still friends to this day. And some of them have actually had children. They have offspring here. So they've invested everything in seeing that this process, this journey that we're all on is successful because they have seeded their own here as well. And that's all I'm going to say at this point.
Well, that's great. That's corroborating some of the information I've gotten from other sources. Bill Tompkins, who worked in the aerospace industry, he talked about these extraterrestrials being embedded in major companies like Douglas Aircraft Company, McDonnell Douglas, TRW, and so forth, and all helping develop advanced technologies, helping the Navy develop these advanced technologies. So yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So with this quantum communication system that Starlink and Elon Musk is setting up, based on the information you've received, Elena, this is not something to be worried about, because I know people assume that the Starlink system is going to be like something that's just going to beam all these harmful 5G EMFs to us. And as far as I know, with my kind of research into this, it's like Starlink is actually developing a different model. They're not using the 5G system that, say, companies like Verizon and AT&T and the major telecommunications industries do, which is all based on 5G and 6G, that they are developing a quantum internet. And I know you both attended my webinar last week, and there was something called Project Odin that I haven't been able to really confirm. There's a lot of rumors about it. So that's supposed to be where SpaceX, Starlink are working with US Space Command in setting up a kind of quantum internet system. So yeah, do either of you know anything about that?
Well, I don't know anything about the Project Odin, but I know about Odin. Odin was a Norse god. He was the father of all gods. And Odin died to reborn and gain knowledge. So Odin represents something that is pushed to the limit, that it breaks down and nearly dies. And by the death experience, by the transformation, becomes a new being that has gained absolute knowledge in the process. To me, this is a metaphor for a system that is not working anymore, that dies, and that switches to something new. And this something new has to do with knowledge or sharing knowledge. That's what Odin represents to me.
Thank you. It's very profound. Thanks for sharing that. Alex, do you have any information on that?
As a platform, its sole purpose is to elevate all consciousness. And the way it works is that it moves in between many different frequencies. And, you know, the fact that it's quantum means that its ability is not just limited to third density. Its ability also opens fourth density. And it can also open fifth density. It all depends on how much they decide to turn up the juice on it. So if we wanted to actually talk to the rest of the cosmos, using this type of a technology could in fact do that. If we wanted genuine galactic knowledge, this system would give us access to it. We would never get it with the system that's presently in existence, the platforms we've been using. Xfinity, Comstore, Comcast, Verizon, any of those. Those systems were never built. They were built to contain information and knowledge, not to expand it. Even the internet, the intention was to share data and information. What happened was humanity really took to it, and information was going and moving and being spread so fast that they had to contain it. They had to start to shut it down because consciously we were beginning to outgrow the internet. They weren't able to contain the information. So, and it was never designed for this, the system we are currently using. The quantum system, completely different platform. It actually complements the fact that humanity's consciousness is expanding, and it will allow us to expand on a consciousness level because it's built to pick up information that's just not third, but fourth and fifth.
Knowledge.
Exactly. It's a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
En train d'imaginer votre prochaine aventure? Avec Avion, obtenez les vols que vous voulez avec les points que vous aviez prévus.
Sorry, Elena, go ahead.
If I may say, to give you an example, I realized I have this technology within me, in my body. The implant device that I have works like this. It's a quantum resonance communication. Wherever Thoran is in the galaxy, the distance doesn't matter. We can connect because there is no medium between one point to the other. The two devices are interacting by quantum. Something is triggered here, it triggers here. But there's nothing in between that can be hacked. It's unhackable. Right. So that's something important as well. It's unhackable.
It's
so
like a laser.
Example.
It's like a laser. You know, many of the military now use lasers for communication. Well, you break the beam, everybody knows it. Okay, yeah. And you've broken the beam. The quantum system is exactly just what she said. You're at point A, point B, and it's only you two having the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, to use true holographic technology, you have to have the quantum system in place. So you can pull it down. We would never be able to generate the energy necessary to truly do something like this on a global level. You know, and you know, everybody's talking about Project Bluebeam and all that stuff. You know, that would never work if they hadn't chemtrailed the entire sky for 25 years. You know, if they didn't put all that shit in the atmosphere, it never would work. So literally what we're seeing is like a film being bounced off our atmosphere because of all the particles that they put in it. You know, that was the intention.
Mhm.
And
Well,
you know,
well-
they can take ships, fly them with a resonance right through our atmosphere, and all those particles will come down to the surface and be completely harmless. So, you know, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay.
Well, and that's one of the things that people would really love to know more about is right now everyone's being bombarded with a new wave of kind of fear porn. The mass media is just pumping images of war, and they're kind of like they're dangling this prospect of a nuclear war with the US. So, you know, a lot of people are starting to get scared, but I know I've been following the Patriot movement, you know, people like 107, Michael Jaco, many others saying that you know, there's a giant show playing out at the moment, and that part of the show is that we need to get to the very brink to wake up the normies, and that very brink is, you know, nuclear war. It wakes people up, and then it's like, okay, then you can kind of like unleash, or the White House can spring into action and kind of like unleash the public broadcasting system and announcing all of the stuff that's being held. I think, Alex, you've talked about that, you know, like packets of information that's just going to be rolled out when people have reached the right, when the critical mass has been reached. So, yeah.
When they can actually hear
that?
the information. Well, they actually can hear it. Right now, most people would turn it off because they're not ready to hear it. Yes. Yeah.
So,
you know, no matter what you say about Ukraine or Russia, you're going to trigger somebody. You know, but the bottom line is, and you know, this information's out there, Ukraine is not a separate country. It never legally defined its borders. So technically, as far as the UN is concerned, and they know this, going back to 1991, Ukraine is still an extension of Russia because they have no treaties whatsoever designating their borders. None. They never did it. Two, there are people on the ground and foreign correspondents who are saying it's the Ukrainian military and mercenaries that are blowing up and bombing the Ukrainian people, and the media is spinning it saying it's the Russians. You know, now it's possible that in taking out some of these bases and biostructures that have been created there, you know, that some innocent civilians are being killed. I'm sure that's possible. But, you know, why isn't everybody asking, why were there so many bio labs there? You know, why were there so many? Why were we paying for all that shit? And what was it exactly they were doing? You see, we can't have that conversation. We can't have that conversation yet because they won't let us. You know, what was billions and billions of dollars going on there? What were they doing? You know, and the adrenochrome labs that were there. Why don't you explain that? Let's have a conversation about that, but we can't because of all the fear porn and the nuclear war. Just go back to Steve Greer's disclosure project. What were the extraterrestrials doing at all the military bases, nuclear military bases on the planet? They were turning those things off. They were melting circuit boards. They were telling every military that had a nuke, you are not going to use it because it affects us. It doesn't just hurt you. It creates a wave dimensionally because you're ripping holes in time.
Yeah.
They're not going to let us use them. You know, they're just not going to let it happen. But, you know, there's plenty of other shit we could use like bioweapons and anthrax and all this other crap that they were building in making, for God knows why, that they could do something stupid with. But, that's why we have all these boots on the ground, Michael, is to make sure that doesn't happen. Because not only do you have starseed, but you also have physical representatives of other star nations here living amongst us.
Yeah.
We're still in the vaudeville part of the show here, the stupidity, and those of us who have been awake a while, we're like really done with this, with the vaudeville show, let's get real serious now about, taking humanity to the next level. It's just, Christ, it's so frustrating.
Frustrating is the word. Yeah.
So, did you want to elaborate at all, Elena, on this idea that what we're witnessing now is just a show? I mean, that it's got to be scary because that's what's going to that's what's needed to wake up the normies. Is this similar to the information you've received?
Well, the information I receive is that people need to get up and just stand up for themselves and just get rid of all those deep state people in power and just stand up. And the best way to do it is to stop consenting to do what they tell you to do. Stop accepting their fear information. Everything that's fear-based, it comes from the bad side, and this conflict with regressive extraterrestrials, the Orion group, the reptilians, blah, blah, blah. The Galactic Federation and the alliance they are in, they could have just sort everything out in 1 hour. They didn't. First, because they didn't want to transform the Earth in a battlefield and kill everyone. But second, and that's in fact the first, it's the most important, humanity needs to wake up and shift to the next level of consciousness. They need to do that. And humanity has been in an abusive relationship with a narcissistic deep state. And nobody can take us out of it. We need to just wake up ourselves. And sometimes when you're in an abusive relationship with a partner, whatever it is, whatever level, you need, if you don't realize and you don't have the courage to get out, you need to take hits until you say you're fed up and you just go, that's enough now, enough. And you just stop consenting to be abused and you move on and you take away, actually, you don't need to kill your abuser. You need just to take the power away from them. That's all you need to do. Stop feeding them. Stop saying yes. You say, bye. You ignore them. You take the power away and they just wither. That's what we need to do. And humans have started to stand up all over the world and it's great. And finally it's happening. But the thing is, we need to stop waiting. They've groomed us in waiting for something or someone to save us or to do the job for us. And no, it's humans need to save humans, that's what I'm told, but it's happening.
Mm. So both of you have expressed a lot of optimism that as this year plays out, that we're going to have many positive things happening. So do you still feel that way about 2022 and beyond? Maybe we can start with Alex and finish with Elena.
Well, definitely. There's no shit show lasts forever, and no storm lasts forever either. At some point it passes and the sun comes back out. That's just the nature of what is. And we're 3 years from now, we're going to look back at this moment and we're going to be like, wow, what was that all about? Why did we buy into it? Because we're going to have a very clear perspective, just a couple years down the road about everything that was going on here, how we were being played, how we were being lied to, how we were being manipulated. And once everybody sees that, or a majority of people see that, it's over. It's done. They can never do that again. And, Michael, as far as the normies, I'm not sure that any more normies are going to wake up. I think those who are awake already. Those that can be awake and will be awake, they're already awake. I think the small percentage of people who just won't get it, they're never going to get it. And I think we're there. I do. I think they know, but this was part of the plan. This was part of the rollout. And they can't change course because they've laid this thing out the way it's supposed to play in order to achieve a very specific ending. So they have to do this anyway. They can't just say, okay, let's abort this. It's too late for that. They have to play this thing out. And what it's going to do is those who are awake, it's going to make us much more resolute in the idea of being self-reliant, self-responsible, and never giving our power away to a corporate or governmental structure ever again. And what this will do is it will make us resolve, all of humanity, that any structure we build to service us, we will in fact control. They will not control us. It's never going to happen again. And I for one, I'm ready to let's move on now. Let's get to the end here.
Well, that brings me to the end. So, Elena, where do people find out about what you're doing? I mean, upcoming books or books that you have available, and if they want to get in touch with you, where do people go?
Thank you, Michael. First, I would like to say that I'm feeling very optimistic for the future. I've been shown a future where everyone is federated in a civilized society on Earth, and all these new technologies are everywhere. So I've seen that. It's very close. I've been told that July, something may happen that can change the vision humans have about their own presence in the universe and in their history. So let's wait and see what this will be. Maybe disclosure, I don't know. I feel very positive. I trust in human race, and my friends upstairs, they said to me once, if we thought there was no hope, we wouldn't be here. So that's all. Now where to find me? ElenaDanaan.org. You have everything I do on it. My website, my books, everything is centralized there. And my YouTube channel, Elena Danaan, where I have all my free videos and workshops and everything.
Thank you. So, Alex, what about you in terms of I know you're doing regular webinars, and people can contact you for Q&A. So how do people do that?
Well, we do three. We do 2 webinars and a Q&A every month. I haven't restarted the one-on-ones yet. So that's on hold. But alexcollier.org, there's a body of work that's out there scattered throughout the internet that hasn't been fully taken down yet. So there's all kinds of places, and that's pretty much it. And trying to support others who are not only in this field, but those who are contactees and such that are putting their toe in the water to see what it's like. They'll be happy to know that it's not like it was 30 years ago. the people are much more open at this point, and it's a lot easier to have these types of conversations. So, it's that, and it's both Elena and I supporting you in your work. And, why don't you tell people, Michael, how they can find out more about your work?
Yes, well, people can just visit my website, exopolitics.org. That's my central hub, and I put everything on there. And I also have another website I just created, exopoliticstoday.com, where people can get my podcasts and they can watch this. Maybe they're watching this now. So I want to thank you both, Alex and Elena, for really giving us so much wisdom, so much guidance. I know this is a difficult time for many. They're looking for hope. They're looking for guidance, and both of you have that in abundance. So it's really an honor to know both of you and to be working with you. So thank you and aloha.
Thank you, Michael. And my best to Angelica. Arrivederci.
Okay. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Solomon.